We live in a world that constantly tells us money is the answer. Every advertisement, every social media post, and almost every conversation seems to reinforce the idea that happiness is just a paycheck away. The message is clear: if you have enough money, your life will be better. But is it really true? Can money really buy happiness? The truth is, no matter how much money we accumulate, it won't bring us the lasting joy or fulfillment we seek. There are deeper forces at play when it comes to happiness, and money is only a small part of the picture. We've all heard the saying, money can't buy happiness, but it's easy to dismiss it when we see the lifestyles of the rich and famous. We watch their glamorous lives on TV and social media and think that if we just had their wealth, our problems would disappear. The reality is far more complicated. Studies show that after a certain point, money has very little impact on our overall happiness. In fact, it can even make things worse. The more we focus on accumulating wealth, the more we lose sight of the things that truly matter in life. Think about the happiest moments in your life. Were they really tied to the amount of money you had? Probably not. Happiness often comes from experiences and relationships, not material possessions. Think about the time you spent with your friends and family, the moments you shared with loved ones, or the personal achievements you worked hard for. These are the moments that stick with you, not the things you bought or the money you earned. Money may provide temporary satisfaction, but it cannot give you the depth of joy that comes from meaningful experiences. In today's society, we often equate success with wealth. We are taught that if we work hard and make enough money, we'll be successful, and with success comes happiness. But the truth is, the pursuit of wealth can become a never-ending cycle. We constantly chase after more money, thinking it will bring us happiness, only to find that once we reach our financial goals, we are left wanting more. The satisfaction we get from material possessions fades over time, and we are left with an empty feeling, wondering why we aren't as happy as we thought we would be. Money can provide comfort, but it doesn't guarantee happiness. It can buy a bigger house, a nicer car, and fancy vacations, but it can't buy love, friendship, or inner peace. Many people who are financially successful still struggle with loneliness, stress, and anxiety. The more money they have, the more pressure they feel to maintain their lifestyle and keep up with their peers. This constant pressure can lead to burnout, dissatisfaction, and a sense of emptiness. When we place too much value on money, we lose sight of the things that truly bring us joy and fulfillment. Happiness isn't found in a bank account or a credit card statement. It's found in the connections we make with others, the experiences we have, and the sense of purpose we find in our lives. We all have different definitions of happiness, and for some it may come from helping others, pursuing creative passions, or spending time in nature. For others, it may come from raising a family, building meaningful relationships, or contributing to a cause they care about. But one thing is clear: money is not the key to happiness. If we want to be truly happy, we need to shift our focus away from money and towards the things that bring us joy and fulfillment. We need to recognize that happiness comes from within, not from external circumstances. Money can provide comfort, but it can't provide the deep sense of contentment that comes from living a life aligned with our values and passions. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that money is the answer to all our problems, but the truth is that no amount of money will ever be enough if we don't have the emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being to appreciate it. One of the most important truths about happiness is that it comes from within. We often hear people say that they'll be happy when they finally make enough money or when they achieve a certain goal. But the reality is that happiness is not a destination, it's a mindset. Money might give you temporary pleasure, but it won't change the core of who you are. True happiness is about finding peace within yourself and appreciating the things that really matter. It's about embracing life's simple pleasures, the moments of connection, laughter, and joy that don't require a price tag. Think about how often we tie happiness to external achievements. We often tell ourselves that we'll be happy once we get that promotion, buy that new car, or move into a bigger house. But what happens when we get those things? How long does the happiness last? A few weeks, maybe a few months. Then we find ourselves chasing after the next thing. This constant chase for external validation creates a false sense of happiness, and we end up losing sight of what truly brings us joy. The truth is, no material possession can fill the hole inside of us that we try to fill with money. This brings us to the concept of gratitude. People who are truly happy tend to be more grateful for what they have, rather than constantly focusing on what they lack. When we are constantly pursuing more, we overlook the blessings we already have in our lives. Gratitude shifts our focus away from the pursuit of material wealth and toward appreciating the simple moments and relationships that make life meaningful. It teaches us that what we already have, our health, our family, our friendships, are worth far more than anything money can buy. However, this isn't to say that money has no value. Of course, money is necessary for basic needs like food, shelter, and healthcare. It provides security and comfort, and it can open doors to opportunities and experiences that might not otherwise be available. But once our basic needs are met, money's ability to increase happiness begins to diminish. This is known as the diminishing returns principle, and it suggests that after a certain point, additional money brings little to no increase in happiness. Studies have shown that people who make enough to live comfortably tend to be just as happy as those with much larger incomes. The key to happiness is not how much money you have, but how you choose to use it and what you do with the time and resources you've been given. When we compare our lives to those of others, especially through the lens of social media, we often feel like we're falling short. We see people with luxurious vacations, designer clothes, and flashy cars, and we think that's what we need to be happy. But what we don't see is the full picture. Social media is a highlight reel, not reality. People post the best versions of their lives, leaving out the struggles, hardships, and emotional challenges they face behind closed doors. By constantly comparing ourselves to others, we fall into the trap of thinking that if we just had what they have, we'd feel complete. The truth is, no amount of material wealth can substitute for emotional fulfillment. Real happiness comes from living a life that feels authentic and true to your own values, not from the things you own or the status you've achieved. The drive for more money and material possessions also often comes at a cost to our relationships. When we prioritize wealth and success, we risk losing sight of what truly matters, our connections with others. In today's fast-paced, success-driven society, we often get caught up in our careers, neglecting the people who matter most. Work hours get longer, priorities shift, and before we know it, we've missed important moments with family and friends. Money can't replace the love and support of people who care about us. Relationships and emotional connections are what provide us with true happiness, not the things we accumulate. The fear of not having enough money is another trap that many fall into. This fear can lead to stress, anxiety, and a constant feeling of inadequacy. We may find ourselves in a cycle where we're always worried about our financial situation, no matter how much we make. This fear can prevent us from living fully in the present moment, as we're constantly looking to the future and worrying about what we don't have. Ironically, the more we focus on money, the more we distance ourselves from the things that really bring us joy, like spending time with loved ones, pursuing our passions, or engaging in activities that nourish our soul. It's also worth noting that the pursuit of money can actually distance us from our true purpose. When we focus too much on wealth, we may lose sight of what we're truly passionate about and what makes us feel fulfilled. Many people chase careers that promise financial success but leave them feeling empty and unsatisfied. They wake up every day dreading the work ahead simply because it's what they believe they should be doing to earn money. The relentless pursuit of financial gain can blind us to the things we're genuinely passionate about, leading us to live a life that's out of alignment with our true selves. Finding purpose in life is not about the money we make, but about the impact we have, the people we touch, and the growth we experience along the way. The American dream is often synonymous with wealth and success. We are told that if we work hard enough, we can achieve financial success and live the dream life. But this narrative has led many people to believe that money is the ultimate goal in life. The reality is that the pursuit of this idealized version of success can lead to exhaustion, frustration, and a lack of fulfillment. The myth of the American dream suggests that everyone has an equal shot at success if they just try hard enough, but it ignores the systemic factors, such as privilege, access to resources, and opportunity, that contribute to people's ability to achieve wealth. This false ideal promotes the belief that we need more and more in order to be happy, pushing us further away from the true sources of contentment. The societal pressures that equate happiness with wealth also create a culture of consumerism, where the desire to buy more, own more, and acquire more dominates our lives. Advertisements tell us that happiness is found in the things we buy. They sell us the idea that we need the latest products, gadgets, or luxuries to live fulfilling lives. But this is just a cycle that never ends. The moment we acquire one thing, we are marketed the next. This never-ending pursuit of material possessions feeds into the false idea that happiness can be purchased. The truth is that consumerism only satisfies us temporarily. Once the novelty of an item wears off, we are left with the same feelings of emptiness that we had before. One of the biggest illusions we live with is the belief that money is the ultimate goal. We are conditioned from a young age to believe that the more we have, the better our lives will be. But as we pursue wealth, we often overlook the intangible aspects of life that are necessary for true happiness. True happiness comes from internal satisfaction, not external accumulation. The things we possess may bring short-term joy, but they do not provide lasting fulfillment. The real source of happiness lies in personal growth, relationships, and finding meaning in life beyond material wealth. As we strive for more wealth, it's easy to lose sight of the simple things that truly matter. Money often becomes a distraction from what is important. We become so focused on increasing our income, climbing the career ladder, and acquiring more possessions that we forget to appreciate the little things in life, the moments with loved ones, the joy of pursuing a passion, the beauty of nature, and the feeling of accomplishment from personal growth. These are the moments that provide lasting joy, not the latest luxury item or the biggest paycheck. Happiness is not about what we have, but what we experience and the relationships we build along the way. The pressure to succeed financially can take a heavy toll on our mental health. Constantly worrying about money, striving to meet financial goals, and trying to keep up with societal expectations can lead to anxiety, stress, and burnout. The more we focus on wealth, the more pressure we place on ourselves to maintain that wealth, creating a never-ending cycle of stress and dissatisfaction. Instead of bringing freedom, money often brings worry. Many individuals, despite their financial success, find themselves overwhelmed by the need to constantly protect their wealth, fearing that they will lose it or that it will not be enough. The pursuit of money, therefore, becomes an endless cycle that takes away our peace of mind. The idea that money buys happiness is also perpetuated by the media and advertising industries. Every day we are bombarded with messages that tell us we need more possessions, more status, more wealth to be happy. This creates an illusion of happiness that is tied to material goods. The images we see on TV, in movies, and on social media are often designed to sell us a dream that revolves around money and possessions. The idea that happiness can be bought is a carefully crafted narrative that encourages us to chase after more without ever feeling truly satisfied. It tells us that if we just buy the right products, wear the right clothes, or live in the right neighborhood, we will find happiness. But this is an illusion. The happiness that comes from material wealth is fleeting, and it fades as quickly as the novelty of the possessions we buy. The pressure to keep up with societal standards of success and wealth can also lead to a loss of self-identity. As we chase after external markers of success, we often lose sight of what truly matters to us. We begin to define ourselves by the things we own, the titles we hold, and the social status we achieve. Our sense of worth becomes tied to external validation, and we lose touch with our authentic selves. This can lead to feelings of emptiness, as we realize that the things we have worked so hard for do not provide the sense of purpose and fulfillment we desire. True happiness comes from within, from a deep sense of self-worth and purpose, not from the things we accumulate. Moreover, the constant pursuit of wealth and success often leads to neglecting the things that matter most: our relationships, our health, and our personal well-being. The more we chase after money, the more we sacrifice time with loved ones, self-care, and meaningful personal experiences. We may find ourselves working long hours, sacrificing family time, or putting our health at risk in the pursuit of more. But when we finally achieve our financial goals, we realize that the relationships we neglected and the health we sacrificed cannot be bought back. Money may bring comfort, but it cannot replace the value of time spent with those we love, or the peace of mind that comes from living a balanced, healthy life. The pursuit of money also perpetuates a culture of comparison. We live in a world where social media constantly shows us how others are living, showing off their vacations, their possessions, and their achievements. This culture of comparison often leads us to feel inadequate or dissatisfied with our own lives. We look at others and think, if only I had what they have, then I would be happy. But this constant comparison is toxic. It keeps us focused on what we don't have rather than appreciating what we do. It fosters a sense of scarcity, making us feel like we are always falling short. The reality is that everyone's life is different, and the pursuit of someone else's version of happiness will never bring us true fulfillment. We must learn to define happiness on our own terms, not by comparing ourselves to others. Even when we achieve our financial goals, the satisfaction we experience is often temporary. This is the nature of hedonic adaptation. Once we acquire something new or achieve a goal, the excitement fades over time, and we find ourselves desiring the next big thing. The pleasure that money brings is short-lived, and we are left searching for more, hoping that the next purchase, promotion, or acquisition will bring the lasting happiness we crave. But this cycle never ends, because true happiness cannot be found in material wealth. It is found in the experiences we have, the relationships we build, and the personal growth we experience along the way. Additionally, the focus on wealth and success often leads to a sense of disconnection from our true purpose. When we are constantly pursuing money, we can lose sight of what really matters to us, our passions, our values, and our dreams. We may find ourselves in careers or lifestyles that do not align with who we are, simply because they offer financial rewards or social recognition. This disconnect can lead to a sense of dissatisfaction and lack of fulfillment, as we realize that we are living according to other people's expectations, not our own desires. True happiness comes when we align our lives with our values and passions, and when we focus on the things that bring us joy rather than the things that bring us wealth or status. One of the most profound aspects of happiness is finding contentment in the present moment. When we are focused on the future, on the next paycheck, the next goal, or the next purchase, we fail to appreciate the richness of the present moment. Money cannot buy contentment because contentment comes from within. It comes from embracing the present and being grateful for the things we already have. It comes from finding peace with who we are and where we are in life, rather than constantly striving for more. True happiness is found in the simple moments, moments of connection, joy, and self-acceptance. Another important aspect of happiness that money cannot buy is self-fulfillment. We often think that money will make us feel complete, but the truth is that fulfillment comes from pursuing things that bring us joy, purpose, and growth. It comes from doing things that align with our passions and values, from learning and growing as individuals, and from helping others. Money cannot provide a sense of fulfillment because it is external, while true fulfillment is internal. It comes from knowing that we are living a life that is meaningful and aligned with our deepest desires and values. Another significant factor to consider is how the illusion of wealth distorts our sense of self-worth. When money becomes the yardstick by which we measure success, we begin to tie our identity to our income, possessions, and external achievements. This sets us up for constant dissatisfaction. Our self-worth becomes conditional, dependent on our ability to accumulate wealth and maintain a certain social image. The problem with this is that we are not our money. We are not our possessions, our careers, or our external markers of success. True self-worth comes from within. It comes from our character, values, kindness, and how we treat others. It's important to understand that money is only a tool, not the measure of who we are as individuals. This societal attachment to money as a measure of worth also leads to a cycle of burnout. People push themselves harder, work longer hours, and sacrifice their personal time for the sake of building wealth, all while telling themselves that it will make them happier in the end. But the pursuit of money becomes a never-ending race. Once one goal is reached, another one appears, and the cycle continues. We fail to recognize that the constant pressure to achieve more is slowly chipping away at our mental and physical health. When work consumes our lives, we forget about the importance of rest, relaxation, and emotional well-being. Stress levels rise, relationships suffer, and our health declines, all for the sake of a pursuit that doesn't lead to lasting happiness. Let's take a moment to reflect on what money can't do for you. It can't buy the deep sense of peace that comes from being content with who you are. It can't buy the feeling of joy that arises when you're surrounded by people you love. It can't buy the freedom to pursue your passions or the satisfaction that comes from knowing you're living authentically. It can't buy the laughter shared over a dinner with friends or the quiet moments spent in reflection. Money can never replace the emotional richness of life. These are the things that money can't buy. Furthermore, chasing money often leads to a loss of meaning in life. When we are focused on financial gain, we forget about the deeper purpose that drives us as human beings. Purpose and meaning are not found in wealth or success. They are found in our contributions to others, the difference we make in the world, and the way we live out our values. True fulfillment comes from knowing that we are living a life that aligns with our core beliefs and that we are contributing to something larger than ourselves. Money is a tool, but it's not the end goal. The pursuit of meaningful work, helping others, and living authentically, these are the things that bring us true joy. Money can never buy love or authentic relationships. It may give us the ability to buy gifts or take people out to dinner, but it can't create genuine connections. The best relationships are built on trust, love, mutual respect, and shared experiences, none of which can be bought. While wealth might allow you to meet new people or influence others, it doesn't give you the deep bonds that make life truly rich. If you only seek relationships for their material benefits or to reinforce your social standing, those relationships will always be shallow. True friendships and lasting partnerships are based on shared values, empathy, and emotional connection, not on what's in your bank account. Additionally, money cannot buy time, and time is one of the most valuable things we have. The pursuit of wealth often leads people to spend countless hours working, trading their time for money. But in doing so, they lose sight of how precious time is. Time spent with loved ones, time spent pursuing hobbies, and time spent in self-reflection are often the things that bring us the most joy. Yet many of us trade this time for money, believing it's the price we must pay to live a better life. But what happens when we've accumulated all the wealth we could dream of, but we've sacrificed our time, relationships, and well-being in the process? The answer is simple: we regret it. The fear of losing money is another factor that takes away from our happiness. The more money we accumulate, the more we worry about losing it. This fear can create a constant sense of anxiety and unease. People become so consumed with the need to protect their wealth that they become less focused on enjoying life and more focused on securing their financial future. They worry about the stock market, inflation, their investments, and their savings. This fear of losing what they have can steal their peace of mind and prevent them from truly enjoying the fruits of their labor. The constant need for more money can become all-consuming and prevent us from appreciating the present moment. In contrast, true wealth is measured by our well-being, our mental, emotional, and physical health, our relationships, and our ability to live in alignment with our values. It's about the richness of our experiences, the depth of our connections, and the sense of fulfillment we feel when we contribute to others or pursue something we are passionate about. Happiness comes from living a life of purpose, not from accumulating material wealth. The richest people are often those who have discovered what truly matters in life and have focused on building meaningful experiences rather than just focusing on wealth. It's important to understand that material wealth can bring comfort, but it cannot bring happiness in and of itself. True happiness comes from the experiences we have, the people we love, and the ability to live a life that feels true to who we are. We should focus less on accumulating things and more on nurturing our relationships, developing our passions, and contributing to the well-being of others. This shift in focus is the key to breaking free from the false reality that money will bring us happiness. People often spend their whole lives chasing wealth in the hope that it will provide them with the freedom and happiness they desire. However, they realize too late that happiness was never about the money. It was about the journey, the people they met along the way, and the meaning they created through their actions. True happiness comes from the moments we experience, not the things we possess. It's about how we choose to live, how we contribute to the world, and how we connect with the people around us. One of the most crucial realizations in understanding why money can't buy happiness is that happiness is often rooted in intangible experiences. When we look at the happiest moments in life, they typically don't involve anything we can buy. The memories of laughter shared with friends, the moments of quiet contemplation while surrounded by nature, or the warmth of a hug from someone we love, these are priceless. Happiness is often about connection and experiencing life in its full spectrum, with all its highs and lows. Money can buy comfort, but it cannot buy the deep, soul-satisfying joy that comes from simply being present and connected to the world around us. The pressure to chase after wealth can sometimes blind us to the simple pleasures of life. We can become so focused on the future, on what we still need to achieve, what we still need to buy, that we forget to enjoy the present moment. Money might allow us to travel to beautiful places or buy fine things, but true joy comes from the way we experience those moments, not from the possessions themselves. The ability to appreciate the present and savor the fleeting moments of life is a key aspect of happiness that money can't provide. Happiness is found in our attitude towards life, not in the things we acquire or the goals we achieve. At the heart of this pursuit is consumer culture. We live in a society where consumption is tied to success and happiness. Ads, social media, and societal expectations convince us that the more we have, the more complete we'll feel. However, this endless pursuit of material wealth often leads us away from what truly brings fulfillment. As we acquire more, we're left with the illusion of happiness that fades away quickly. The satisfaction derived from buying new things is often short-lived, leaving us craving more. And yet, the pursuit of more things keeps many of us trapped in a cycle where we never feel satisfied, no matter how much we accumulate. This constant chase for more keeps us distracted from the inner peace and contentment that can be found in life's simpler moments. While we may feel that wealth is the solution to our problems, money can never provide the emotional stability we need. Financial stress can be overwhelming, and even those who have accumulated wealth are not immune to the stress of maintaining it. Managing wealth comes with its own set of anxieties, concerns about losing it, investing it wisely, and ensuring it lasts. People who have money often find themselves just as stressed as those who don't, because the more money you have, the higher the stakes are. The pursuit of wealth can create a feeling of urgency and pressure that prevents you from enjoying the life you've worked so hard to create. Happiness is not about avoiding problems, but learning how to cope with them and finding peace despite them. Money, unfortunately, does not provide this inner peace. Furthermore, chasing after wealth can often result in neglecting our health and well-being. As people work longer hours, spend less time with family, and sacrifice personal time to earn more, they risk their physical and mental health. The stress of overwork can lead to burnout, chronic illnesses, and even depression. The irony is that people often sacrifice their health to acquire money, only to realize later that health is the true wealth. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that success and money will make us happy, but if we don't have our health, we cannot enjoy anything. Money cannot buy a strong body or peace of mind. True happiness is found in the balance between work, rest, and personal well-being. When we focus on the pursuit of material wealth, we often lose sight of what really brings us joy, our passions, our values, and our authentic self. In a world where success is often measured by the size of one's bank account or the number of social followers, it's easy to forget that happiness doesn't come from living up to someone else's idea of success. The people who are truly happy are those who live aligned with their values and pursue what they love, not just what they're told will make them wealthy. This often involves taking risks, stepping away from conventional paths, and embracing what feels true for you. True happiness is not about acquiring wealth, but about creating a life filled with purpose, meaning, and joy. When we focus on experiences rather than possessions, on relationships rather than achievements, we begin to experience happiness in its most profound form. The joy that comes from helping others, from pursuing something we are passionate about, or from simply being present in the moment is deeper and longer lasting than any material possession could ever provide. Experiences enrich us in ways that material wealth never will. Whether it's traveling to a new place, learning a new skill, or spending quality time with people you care about, experiences offer something that money cannot. They create memories that last a lifetime, and memories are what we hold dear as we grow older. Experiences shape who we are and allow us to connect with the world in meaningful ways. The joy that comes from a life filled with rich experiences is something that no amount of money can replicate. Experiences allow us to grow emotionally and spiritually in ways that material possessions can never touch. The key to true happiness is finding balance in life. Balance between work and play, personal time and social obligations, material pursuits and emotional well-being. When we focus too much on one aspect of our lives, whether it's earning money, achieving success, or acquiring things, we risk losing the balance that leads to happiness. Money can certainly be part of this equation, but it cannot be the whole story. The pursuit of happiness is about finding fulfillment in multiple areas of life, not just in financial success. One of the most profound ways to find happiness is by helping others. Research has shown that people who give, whether through their time, energy, or resources, tend to be happier than those who only focus on themselves. Giving creates a sense of connection to others and fosters feelings of empathy, kindness, and fulfillment. The simple act of giving, whether through charity, volunteering, or simply being there for someone in need, creates a deeper sense of purpose. It reminds us that happiness is not about what we have, but what we give. When we focus on the needs of others, we often find that our own needs are met in unexpected ways. The joy that comes from helping others is priceless and lasting. The more we focus on finding happiness through external means, the further we move away from the truth. Happiness is something we create from within. True happiness comes from within ourselves, from our ability to accept who we are, to love ourselves as we are, and to appreciate the life we have. The moment we start measuring our happiness by external standards, money, status, or material possessions, we set ourselves up for disappointment. Money can provide comfort and security, but it cannot give us peace of mind, joy, or self-love. These qualities must be cultivated from within.